Instagram, and looks like we just went live on Facebook as well. What's up, y'all? We are episode 7. Episode 7 here of the 20-minute showdown. We got an awesome guest today. He'll be joining us in just a second once we get everything up and running here on the IG world. And he is a monster in the real estate world. So y'all better be ready. Oh, he's already in. This guy's ready to go. Okay, go live with Justin. Let me go to my Facebook. So wherever you are, tell us what's going on in your life. Tell us where you're logging in from, or if you're watching this on replay, hit the word replay. Okay, I'm live on the Facebook now. Look at us, we're moving. Facebook,
all right.
So IG's good to go. Justin's on. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Good. How you doing, Nick?
I'm fantastic. What part of the world you hitting us up from, so everybody knows?
I'm in Southern California, baby. Happy sunny Orange County, California.
Sunny OC. I was just there a couple days ago. We'll take a second. We got some people logging in. Hey, tell us where you're hitting us from. Are you on the replay? Are you logging in live right now? If you're logging in live, tell us the city, tell us the state, tell us the country. If you're logging in from another country, we're on episode 7 of the 20-minute showdown, and super excited to have my guest today. Well, I got Portugal over here on Facebook. What's up, Portugal? What about everyone here on IG? Where are you guys hitting us from? We got some Italians hitting us up. What's up, Melissa from Miami? One of my faves. Great to have you on. We got Justin Tye here, guys. We're going to start in 1 minute. This guy is an absolute monster in the real estate world. So Cancun. What's up, Cancun? How you doing? Got Cancun in today. Okay, so we're going to launch this. All right. I'm going to hit up Facebook. What's up, guys? Now, Facebook fan page, I cannot see your responses. Facebook profile, I can. Instagram, I can see your guys' messages. What's up? What's up? Okay, we're going to get rolling. You guys have officially logged in here to the 20-minute showdown. This is episode 7, and each week we bring on somebody from a different industry, a different marketplace, who's just a beast at what they do. And I had the absolute pleasure to meet this guy here about almost 60 days ago now, but I had always known of his success and of his results. One of his business partners and best friends, I had run across and done business with in a parallel universe for about 15 years. And over that 15 years, he had always talked about his real estate background and his partners and his brother that went on to absolutely just crush and take over the real estate world. And finally, I got to meet that man, which is Justin. Justin, guys, is literally a top 5 broker in all of real estate in the country, literally billions in sales in a year. Not billions in sales in a career, but billions in sales annually. So volume, number of houses. You can only do that if you are a leader. Only leaders have the ability to build teams and scale businesses that big. He's a father. He's a husband. So, Justin, give us your quick 60, 90-second backstory for everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Nick. Like you said, so I'm 42 now. I've done real estate since I was 19. Been in the top 1% for over, 10 years. And I think, most recently you hit the nail on the head. Building a company, starting from the ground up, a company that I started called Active Realty, and going to be, one of the top brokers in the country. It's like what you said, just, doing really good business. It's a connection thing, no matter what you're doing at the ground floor, in the trenches with my team, or all the way up. And it's been a pleasure to be on.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being on. How many kiddos do you have, by the way?
I have 3. I have a stepdaughter who's 21, and I have a little 4-year-old little girl and an 8-year-old boy.
Got your hands full. So I want to create that context, right? Because some people think that because they got a business and they're a single guy who's 32. I'm so busy. No. You got to have a company that's doing $1 billion a year in sales and lead 100 agents or so, and be married and have 3 kids. You don't know what busy's like yet. And if you can do all of that, your ability to balance and manage and be successful at everything is rare. And Justin has that capability. So my quick backstory for the strangers out there today. I'm from Michigan originally, super blue collar, middle class, got introduced to direct sales networking at 18, fell in love, made my first $1 million at 25, bought the assets of the company, went out of business, created a company called Mysalis. It was an absolute rocket ship of all things great and just absolute crash landing of all things painful. So every great thing you can experience and every painful thing you can experience from success and failure happened. Billions in sales. We created nearly 100 millionaires. Blah, 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 blah. I now have a sales accelerator that focuses on multiple verticals, and I work with high-end sales professionals in that. So let's dive in. If you don't know the context of the 20-minute showdown, welcome, Portugal. We go back and forth, kind of like blow for blow. I don't know what he's going to ask me. He doesn't know what I'm going to ask him. And it's 3 questions each. We try to get it done in 20 minutes. So the clock begins now. All right, Justin, you had mentioned that you'd been in the same industry for 23 years, I think you said. And this was actually one of my questions. You just gave me the number, which is 23 years. What type of focus or commitment, or it's not what type, we already know what type because you did it for 23 years. How did you remain so focused on that one thing for so long and not get distracted by the next shiny object out there? How did you remain that focused?
Yeah, I think there's like 2 parts to that question. One, you got to know what your why is. It's got to exceed the cost of whatever that market is today. So if someone's, let's say chasing a paycheck or a pipeline or a number that they have in mind in terms of a goal, it's got to outweigh that. That keeps you focused on the daily. But I think what I've learned over the 20 years is you really have to have a success plan as you go through those stages. Like you said, when you created a company, made millionaires, I think that's one of the biggest testimonials of somebody that is a leader and runs, a great profitable business, is you're creating more wealth and more value as you grow. And I think that's number 2 is, when we got to be number 1 as a team, I kind of lost a little bit of steam. I was like, hey, we got here. We summited the mountaintop, and I kind of was like, let's relax, And so I think that was the first time in my career that I ever had that mentality. And, big ups to my partners and my team that gave me the ability to, have a little balance and really go into self-development, go into different verticals and creating more just overall passive wealth. But I think in that, it made me think of when I have my agents that come in or people that I work with, I don't want them to just be successful now and just keep that focus. I want to have that avatar of someone that is creating we've talked about it before, creating the map of your week, putting in the correct, meetings and making sure that you're, achieving your goals, but then also saying, okay, well, what is this ultimately going to lead me? Instead of just accomplishing a task, envision yourself actually completing that goal and setting up whatever it is that person that you're going to become. And if you don't think about that success, I think one of the biggest downfalls I did in closing 4,200 transactions in 1 year was I didn't actually plan to close those and what I needed to do. So I was always a step or 2 behind. I was always reactive. I never really squeezed all the juice out of it. And I know it's crazy to hear, but I think the biggest thing I'm going to do next time is plan for those success points and really squeeze out, all the juice that you can get out of life through, that success.
Justin, they would call that first world problems if you just didn't,
it is, man.
You didn't squeeze all the juice out of the 4,200 transactions.
Yeah, for sure.
You didn't have the best strategy for those 4,200. Man, I can't wait to see what happens when you do. You had a key phrase in there at the end, and I want to make sure everybody heard this, because whether the lesson was in what he shared in answering the question, what you said at the very end was the lesson that I took, which was you said, next time. He's not done. The next time he closes 4,000 transactions, he's going to do it better. So not only did he say next time, he said, next time I'm going to learn from my failures of my 4,200 transactions, and I'm going to get better and improve. Multiple lessons in what you shared there, brother. Thank you for sharing. Okay, I'm ready. Absolutely. Hit me.
Okay, so for a little backstory for the audience here, I saw you on stage at Break the Code, right? I know we had a soft introduction, but I was like, man, that guy has the energy. I was like, I immediately followed you on all platforms. I was like, I don't know what he's doing specifically in the space, but he's doing it right. So one of my questions were, what attracts you to people and then also companies or projects you get involved in.
Okay, so I'm hesitating because I don't want to sound cheesy, and there's such a great word that has become so mainstream that it's cliche now. But there was a time where, being attracted to somebody energetically really meant something. Now, that word of energy or vibe is thrown away, or is thrown out there so much. It's so cliche. But I really have a core belief system that our intuition speaks so loudly to us when you're dialed in. And whether you're dialed into the universe, the man upstairs, nature, whatever dialed in means to you. But when you're truly, truly, truly dialed in, your intuition speaks so loudly. And I think that the moment that you meet somebody, you already know if you should or should not be working with that person. Unfortunately, and this happens to all of us, we let our logic will start to take over and say, yeah, but this deal could be so good, or yeah, but did you hear what they said about this, or yeah, but maybe I'm being too judgmental, and yeah, but yeah, when we start to yeah, but in our mind and talk ourselves out of our intuition because the deal, quote unquote, or the opportunity might sound so interesting or so good. So I'm just going to say, just completely making this short, your intuition knows immediately. Do you remember, by the way, this old school documentary called What the Bleep? What the Bleep Do We Know?
Mm-hmm.
We're old enough to know this one. And it talks about the cells and how the cells react to other people, and how your central nervous system reacts the moment you come into space. I mean, if you think about this, not to get to go too down the rabbit hole of weirdo-ness, we are moving. Literally, the cell phone is moving. This laptop is moving. This desk is moving. It's all made up of, the same thing, right? That are moving. These electrons that are spinning and spinning, these atoms with these spinning electrons. So when we come into contact with people, we're interacting, right? Our atoms are interacting with their atoms. Our negatives, our positives, our energy. That's an atom is an energy source, right? So those atoms know, like, hey, I can interact or I can't interact, or I should not interact with that person. And that then triggers, I think, that intuition to say, this is a hell yes, or this is a hell no. So hopefully I didn't go too far down the weirdo land on that one, but that's my belief on that. Intuition powered by energy.
I love it. Great answer.
Good. Thank you. Great question, man. Fantastic question. So let's go to question number 2. Question number 2, and this is one that is, I won't say the biggest, because sometimes the biggest we can't share. I learned this last week when I did this. What is one of your greatest failures that has shaped you into who you are today, either by belief system, or maybe it's one certain belief, or a path you went on, or an activity model? How did one of your greatest failures turn you into who you are today?
Great question. So I was actually listening to a reel this morning from Hermosi, and he basically said, what motivates you more, positive or negative? A really great outcome or a really bad outcome? And he goes, it's actually a really bad outcome. It's a really negative outcome. And he basically said, put a gun to your head and see who's motivated more, right? It's like that fear of like death or going down at that failure actually has been a driving force for me consistently. I come from a split household. I was adopted. I moved, a dozen times before I hit high school. So I didn't know anything but a failed family structure. And so it took me a long time to get out of that. Failure was a normal part of life. And And so what took me, I've never had this much success in business. I have a wonderful, amazing family now. I'm not used to this. I don't think I'll ever be used to it. So every day I wake up, my feet hit the floor. I have this gratitude and I have this thankfulness, but I honestly have to tell you that I feel like I don't deserve it. I feel like I work my ass off, and I feel like I've been lucky, and I feel like I do what I'm meant to be doing. I pray every day that, God, keep me on my path, keep me focused, keep me in the rooms that I need to be in, and help me in some of the rooms that I need to go into. But I think in terms of those greatest failures, it's like there's quite a few of them. Defining moments, I think for me in 2008, just like everybody in the real estate space, I ended up having to go through bankruptcy, right? I had partnerships or relationships in general that I think what I learned is the damage is like what you said in your first question, when you don't listen to your energy or your intuition. And you, despite that, you go, oh, this could be the one. And you say that yes. And that changes the trajectory from years in your life versus letting it play out and seeing if your energies really do mesh. And if they do, I think your intuition takes over. So what I've learned from having to do those really big things is all of those things will pass. And if you want to be strong, you want to go to the gym. You don't go to strong. You don't go to the gym, and you don't you got to lift weight, right? You gotta put some resistance behind to get some muscle, right? So same thing in life. You can't just go through with some 5-pound dumbbells and just be like, you're never gonna get any strength. You're gonna have to put some resistance up. So to me, it's like, I want a life worth fighting for, not a life that I don't have to fight for. It's like, I know I'm gonna fight, but I want that fight to be worth it. And as a leader, I want to make sure that I'm fighting in the right circumstances that, define your entire team,
There's so many bombs that you just dropped right there. I mean, there wasn't you're like a walking quote reel, walking like Jim. You know how Jim Rohn, what he says. Just here's another one. Here's another one.
I do love my little one-liners. I do love that. For sure.
You're just stacking them.
You're right.
Stacking joy and stacking personal growth and personal development into us today.
That's right.
So guys, by the way, if you want to ask a question, we have time at the end. Drop a question in here. Maybe we get a time at the end. We can fire it to Justin, or if the question's for me, let me know. I always forget to say this because I'm always behind. Go ahead. We're making good time. If you got a question, drop it in the comments. All right, Justin, I'm ready for number 2.
Okay, number 2, actually kind of on that same vein for you. What's a defining moment that you had? I know it's a little cliche, so I'll dive in a little bit deeper. Is basically a moment that and I want to tell you the little background on the question. Selfishly, when we do these types of things, it's like I follow you, I'm immersed in the leaders that I think have done it for a long time. So what's something of a moment in your life that you took control, something that you remember? It could be multiple, your top 1 or 2 that you really feel like it was that aha moment and you took control.
I'm going to give you 2. Okay,
I love it.
Bonus. Depending how long I talk in the first one, maybe I'll just give you one. So when I was 22 or 23 years old, I'd hit the top position in the company I was a part of. I was the youngest top performer, and my whole team was all under 25. And I lived with, of my top 11 producers, I lived with 2 of them. 2 of them were best friends from high school. 1 of them I grew up with, went to a different high school. So my top 11 were very, very, very close to me. And what happened is my upline, the guy who showed me the business, and then one of the 4 owners decided to leave. And they called me and I said, I ain't going anywhere. And they ended up taking 8 of my top 11 leaders and top 11 producers. But it was emotionally much deeper than that because 2 of them lived in the house with me. 2 of them were my best friends growing up with. So it was a very heavy, heavy thing for being 22 years old, 23 years old. It was trauma, right? It hurt. And, I remember thinking, even though they're all leaving, they're still making the wrong decision. The decision they're making is purely emotional. The decision they're making is they're being manipulated and they're being influenced by guys twice their age that are masters of influence and masters of, if used the wrong way, manipulation. And the reason why I'm calling it manipulation is not because people went to go to a different company, but the language that was used to get my 20-year-old friends to follow him. You're living in Nick's shadow. You're going to be the Nick at the next company. Just all the bullshit that's just garbage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it really hurts. And I remember the next day, I didn't sleep. I called together the 3 guys that were left. It was me and those 3, and we were in Little Italy, San Diego, at my condo, and it's Blake Mullen, who you might know that name. He's a legend now. He's a Hall of Fame direct sales. And 2 other guys, Ryan Blackport, Jake Kaczynski, and I looked at them and I said, "This will never happen again. from this point forward, no one follows anyone else but us. So that moment was a defining moment of really, really turning me into my own leader. I really understood, wait a second, I don't need anyone else. I don't need a leader. I don't need other leaders to lead my people. I don't need outside speakers. All I need is me and these three guys, and everyone will become the leaders that people need to look to. So it forced me to become the leader that people needed so that we wouldn't have to worry about people stealing our sales and our organizations again. That was a long answer, so
Yeah.
stop with that one.
No, huge. That's awesome. Yeah, that must have been super tough. You know, I've had a couple times in my brokerage where it got poached a similar way.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like, it's a huge defining moment. And it's really unfortunate when people take or, you know, manipulate the situation, because as a leader, you're taking a huge amount of risk. I don't think people realize that it's not a comfortable situation. It's either a situation that you really want to influence people. But when you take that risk and you step into those shoes, it's really cool to see, you know, that at such a young age. Like, I didn't know that at 22. Like, I was like, who do I follow next? Who do I follow next? Right. I think it was like to my late 30s where I was like, that's it. I'm the guy, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, in my, oh man, all the way through my 20s, I was like, okay, who do I go to? You know? So that's really cool that at such a young age that you're able to not only go through that, but identify it at the time. I've never been a person like that. I have to identify it later. You know, I have to sit on it and simmer on it.
Yep.
But that's cool to see that you were able to go over, and you don't need quantity, you need quality, you know, make such a better life. So that's awesome.
At that time, and because they were my best friends, roommates, and by the way, my two mentors, right, the guys above me, it was like a divorce. Like I definitely,
yeah, for sure.
I definitely shed a tear or two that night.
Yeah.
And then I turned it into pure rage of action. So
yeah, which is awesome. You turned it into
a lesson.
That's right. That's right.
All right. So let's jump to the final question.
All right.
You know, this one's kind of it's vague for a reason, because I want to give you the ability to steer it any way you want. Let's go today with people that they're stuck. Okay, so they're stuck. They're whether they're successful and stuck, or whether that all they faced is failure and they're stuck. They're stuck. What are 2 or 3 things that you can say, look, when you're stuck, do this, or do that? How do they get unstuck from Justin's perspective?
100%. So really quick, it's mindset, immersion, and motivation, and then momentum. Okay. So I think, and I get stuck too, right? I get stuck all the time. If you're trying new things and you want to go down new roads or you want to explore new possibilities, I think that one of the biggest things, instead of like heading straight down the failure path, right, is identifying A/B testing if something is working or something that really, despite the market or challenges, isn't really working. So I think I was actually talking to a really good, one of my mentors, his name's Sharon, super influential, owns thousands of doors, runs hedge funds, been in the business as long as I have. And what he said was, he goes, take whatever it is and have an artifact. Okay. So let's say this is iPhone is a contract, or it's something that I want to do. Okay. Then you artifact this contract. So as an example, Active Realty, it has marketing materials, it has agreements, and it has all kinds of stuff. Right. But he broke it down. He goes, it's a collection of artifacts. It's your marketing, it's your people, it's your business address, right? He's like, now, if it's artifacts, are those artifacts good or are they not good? Is your company building momentum or is it losing momentum? Now, all of a sudden, because we've made it something different, it's not emotional, it's not personal. It's something that I can look at unbiasedly and say, okay, is this working for me, right? Because a lot of times people feel stuck and they're personalizing that somehow they're stuck. And that's not the case. The case is, if you were to have an objective artifact into, hey, a relationship isn't working. He said, do a mutual expectations document. 1 page, it's an artifact, right? Now, all of a sudden, if that relationship or partnership or whatever it is, that business deal, you say, hey, well, what are our expectations? Are they mutually aligned? Is it something that we're doing together? We can objectively look at that and see, is this just a communication thing? Then the next thing for me, especially I took my kids on spring break. We all had spring break the last couple of weeks, right? For anybody with families. And for me, I want to enjoy the balance. I want to enjoy the time, but I don't want to lose momentum. So I'm actually on the beach, getting jet skis with the kids, but I had both my cell phones with me like this, and I'm pacing up and down the beach, right? I didn't have any margaritas or anything till about 5, 6 o'clock, right? When it was that margarita time. But I had all my business, and I ended up meeting other business guys, other people on the beach. And they're like, we're guessing what industry you were in, and we think it's real estate. And I'm like, bingo, right? And so part of it was I'm keeping momentum and I'm keeping my mindset, whether we're doing things like this, whether I'm listening to a podcast, because it could just be feeding your mind for 30 minutes to an hour a day, because all the media noise or all the people that are like judging other people but not actually doing it and have opinions but aren't actually experienced, those are the ones that are going to make you feel like you're stuck. And I think in the end of the day, once you keep that momentum, whether you're going to go 100 miles an hour like me and you, or whether you're going to keep a nice average speed and get to the destination, it's like you keep that momentum and you have that mindset. Now all of a sudden you can identify much easier what things are working. And then what I think is the biggest barometer is you go see someone that doesn't feed their mind. They don't want to keep momentum. They don't really want to keep the mindset. And you have a conversation with those people, and your conversations are so different. Your conversations are, oh, the politics this, oh, the government that, oh, this person did this. And then the other person's like, yeah, I don't care about any of that. I'm like, bang, 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 bang. And it's just another artifact that they're dealing with. And this person is able to lead and build so much more momentum. So I hope that helps.
Well, so the artifact positioning of that language, to me, what I heard was being objective and really emotional intelligence, right? The hardest piece of emotional intelligence is looking at yourself objectively and looking at how you're interacting with the things around you and removing the emotion from that and really being objective. And that level of emotional intelligence is extremely difficult. Shout out to your mentor and shout out to you, because, if we all could raise ourselves up to 10,000 foot view and look at how we're interacting inside of that, that play or that movie clip, if you will, and figure out, okay, what needs to change there? What is that serving me? Is that not serving me? And having that different lens, I think everybody's life would be different. What I heard when you said momentum, this is a personal one I use for myself. If I'm out of momentum, if I'm not moving, and I just need to get moving, I just say BIM-SIM, body in motion stays in motion, which is Newton's law. Number one, right? Body in motion stays in motion. BIM-SIM, BIM-SIM, BIM-SIM.
That's right.
So if I'm procrastinating on a workout, I say BIM-SIM. If I'm procrastinating on some phone calls, I just say it to myself. Now, once I've got some motion and I've got some movement, law number 2 is momentum, right? So that's the law of motion. Number 2 is momentum. And I constantly reminding myself, do more, one more, go again. Keep momentum, because it is very difficult to get momentum once you get it. But once you get it, do everything you can to keep it, because it's hard to get it again. So great answer, brother. Mindset, immersion, and momentum. All right, hit me with number 3, the final go.
That is a great segue into my third question, which is, you've been successful over multiple market cycles. So in order to keep that momentum or that mindset, how have you been able to stay in the game, stay relevant? And actually, like when I look at all your social and what you're doing, you're so refined and you're actually staying in front of the trends. The way I explain to like my media or marketing team is, I'm like, when you have when you're trying to shoot a target, but that target's moving, you don't aim at the target, you got to aim right in front of it. So you give your chance, and I see you really as a expert marksman in being able to follow that market trend. So I follow your stuff really diligently, because I don't really care what you say per se. I care about what you do. So what allows you to keep staying relevant over those cycles and get better and better as you go?
The responsibility of leadership. And this is an interesting one because you can make money doing anything. And I have a topic that's really near and dear to me, and I try to speak on it as much as I can. I call it the impact
Mm-hmm.
ladder. So if you
Mm-hmm.
think of a ladder, and that ladder is a ladder of impact, I think the base of that ladder is an accountability partner. Hey, if you hold someone accountable, great job. That's kind of like the first step into impact. I think the second phase of that is like you're a manager. You got a couple people, you're appointed a job, and you get to watch over those people, a little bit more impact. And I think from there, an influencer. That's a new one, right? People are like, hey,
Right.
you're an influencer. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not I influence, but I'm not an
Right.
influencer, right? An
Right.
influencer, they use their voice and they use their language and they use their ability to make good videos or pictures to make an impact, right? Whether that's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one above that is kind of like the mentor, experts, coach range, right? So
Right.
that's like a little bit higher on the impact ladder. Above that is a mentor. Well, Nick, what's the difference between a coach and a mentor? You don't pay a mentor. A mentor is not like that'll be $1,000, kid. No, you pay a
Yeah.
coach. You pay an expert. You pay those guys, right? So there's a difference in impact. A mentor is somebody that sees you and wants you to win and will tell you. Maybe they do a lunch with you once every 6 months, and they say, "Go kick ass, kid. Report back in 6 months," because they love you and they understand the law of reciprocity. Somebody mentored them, they mentored you, and above a mentor is a leader and the responsibility of leadership. A leader cries when you cry, bleeds when you bleed, and they win when you win. A coach doesn't. A coach wins whether you win or not. If you're paying them, an
Right.
expert wins. Like it's a different concept. So I've always been in business models that have required me to lead. And if you're required to lead, responsibility shifts from what is best for you or what you want or what you feel like doing to what you must do, how you must show up, what you must put forward for the responsibility of the people that follow you. And there's a tremendous difference between an influencer and a leader. So I think that was the long answer. The short answer is the responsibility of leadership to my team, to my staff, to my kids, to anybody that's choosing to follow me keeps me in a position every day where I'm like, fuck, I need to do more, give more, pursue more, learn more, grow more. So that way I'm making a bigger impact or a bigger ripple effect. So when they put me 6 feet under, there enough of me was out there into the universe. So that's my
Yeah,
answer.
I love it. I love it. I heard a quote that's you can't retire from purpose. And it sounds like,
Great quote.
right? When you're called to lead and you're doing it, I think the biggest thing for me is, I've had so many things on my plate at any given time, but you only really counts for what you do action for and what you actually systematize and accomplish, right? I think that, what's it? The road to heaven is paved in good intentions, right?
Oh,
Where it's
geez.
right. So I learned early on that it's like, as a leader, I was like, I didn't mean to do that, but it's like, but people had different reactions from it. And it was really cool is, as you do it and you step into that purpose and that why, you really determine, your intentions go to massive action, but you can't not have a purpose and have a goal that's clear and set and defined. So that's what I really enjoy about our talks and watching you as you do everything you do is because it seems like you do it 100%. No matter what you do, you take it and you go at it, and you're, of course you're going to be successful.
Well, man, I've absolutely loved this conversation. We went a little long, but that's okay. It was lots of value. And hopefully, guys, if you're watching this, hit replay. If you're watching the replay, tell us what you learned or you liked best. But Justin, where can everyone find you? What is there any closing message to give them or any action you want them to take? Hit them.
Absolutely. So follow us on any of my socials. We're big on IG. We're on all the socials. It's just at Justin Tye. And then we're doing a new YouTube channel, and it's basically hacking the 1%. So what we can do is anything that we do in these settings is at the 1% of what I've done in real estate for over 10 years. I'm really interested in talking to Nick and everybody like him and just putting that in long form on YouTube so you can consume like a podcast or anything else. So check out Justin Tye on YouTube. Give us a little subscribe or follow and hit me up anytime. We do respond to all of our DMs, and I appreciate you, Nick. everybody.
I love you,
watching.
buddy. Hey, will you be on my podcast, Forged by Fire?
Heck yeah, you know it.
All right.
I'm there.
I'll see you in Miami. Everybody have a fantastic week. Justin, thanks for being
Have
on.
a great
brother.
week. Thanks, Nick.
Cheers, everyone.
Take care, guys. Cheers.